Chapter 291. Yi-Ching Luo was right. These students were once the same as her, a group that was labeled as waste. But hadn't these students walked out from the past? Now, in front of those who had labeled them as waste, they could be called strong. If these students could do it, why couldn't she? Her wish was to become a powerful cultivator like Tong Zi-Ching. If she didn't put in any effort, how could she achieve her wish? The students took big strides, running round after round. At the front of the training ground, Yan Xiaoyi's sweet voice rang out leisurely, "The students who came to the devil class, doesn't mean that you are all waste. To be able to pass the Heavenly Academy's assessment, you are much stronger than ordinary people. To be able to pass the devil class's welcome ceremony, you are also very powerful." Her voice was clearly very soft, but it was filled with a convincing force. As long as you cooperate with the class monitor's training, I guarantee, the devil class's students will be more powerful than the high profound class, or even the class of gods. Let me tell you another inspiring news. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze swept past the students one by one. The top 3 students with outstanding performance in the Heavenly Training Forest will be rewarded with a bottle of profound chi pill developed by Lulu. The students who were running immediately started breathing erratically, and a series of gasps sounded. Yi-Ching Luo frowned in puzzlement. Profound chi pill. She had never seen this kind of pill in the 100 Medicines pill refining. The student beside her saw her puzzled expression, or maybe he was Bei Ming Lulu's diehard fan, opened his mouth to explain. This profound chi pill is a profound chi pill developed by Bei Ming goddess. After taking one, your meridians will be unobstructed, reaching the best state of cultivation. Yi-Ching Luo heard this, and her eyes immediately lit up. If during cultivation, to keep the meridians unobstructed, and the body free of impurities, it was indeed the best cultivation state. Cultivating in this state for 1 day was equivalent to 5 days of normal cultivation. It could achieve twice the result with half the effort. No wonder these students were so surprised. Unfortunately, the profound chi pill can only maintain the effect for 1 hour. That student sighed helplessly, but there are 10 profound chi pills in a bottle. If the state of mind is right, perhaps it can break through the profound grade. Yi-Ching Luo nodded thoughtfully. On the other side, Yan Xiaoyi saw the looks of astonishment and desire on the faces of the students, and her lips curled into a smile. Do you have the confidence to get into the top 3? Yes. Do you want to achieve outstanding results in the training forest? Yes. One after another, the impassioned words were deafening. Long Yunzhan's indifferent azure eyes were faintly tainted with a trace of a faintly discernible smile. He stared at Yi-Ching Luo, gazing deeply at her without blinking. Qiao Jin stood at the side and saw everything clearly. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What kind of ability did this Yi-Ching Luo have? The class monitor, who had always been pure in heart and few in desires, actually fell under her skirt. Although Yi-Ching Luo's looks were indeed not bad, and could even be described as stunning. But the class leader doesn't seem like someone who would lust after beauty. Qiao Jin stroked his chin with a thoughtful expression. What are you looking at? Long Yunzhan turned his head slightly, as his brows creased slightly. Qiao Jin grinned, as he gave an ambiguous smile. Class monitor, be honest, have you taken a fancy to that new student? Long Yunzhan's expression was grave, as his gaze drifted towards Qiao Jin. Chapter 292. Long Yunzhan's gaze was serene, as though he could see through Yi-Ching Luo. After some time, he pursed his thin lips tightly and his voice was extremely soft, but it was heard clearly. There's a strange feeling on her, as though there's something calling out to me. From the first time he met Yi-Ching Luo, Long Yunzhan had this feeling. In Long Yunzhan's eyes, beauty and ugliness were merely skin. Yi-Ching Luo's looks was not the reason why he was attracted. But her body was emitting a scent which others couldn't smell, as well as the feeling of calling out to him. Only, Long Yunjian himself couldn't tell what kind of strange feeling that was. When Qiao Jin heard that, he was dumbstruck. You. However, Long Yunjian didn't listen to Qiao Jin's words as he gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo, turned around and headed back the way he came from. In a blink of an eye, his figure disappeared. Hey, what did you say to class monitor? This is the first time I've seen class monitor being so concerned about a new student. Yan Xiaoyi saw Long Yunjian leaving and her gossipy thoughts started to ignite. Qiao Jin's lips twitched as he recalled what Long Yunjian said and clapped his hands fiercely. Finished, class monitor seems to have really fallen in love. Strange feeling. Calling out to him to pay attention to Yiqing Luo. Wasn't this just like liking? Yan Xiaoyi's face was filled with shock. She was just casually asking, casually guessing and casually making a joke. Just like that. Became real. The moment Long Yunjian left, Yiqing Luo heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Her senses were so sharp, how could she not feel that Long Yunjian had been staring at her? Long Yunjian's gaze was very strange. Yiqing Luo naturally wouldn't be narcissistic to think that Long Yunjian had fallen in love with her at first sight. But that gaze, what meaning did it represent? Yiqing Luo had no way of knowing. She had to admit, as devil class monitor, Long Yunjian's imposing manner indeed resembled a leader. To be able to train these students who were once labeled as trash to this standard, he had the right to be respected. Ao. Chi-Chi's head rubbed against Yiqing Luo's face. It curled into a furry ball, nestling firmly on Yiqing Luo's shoulder, as it stuck out its tongue to lick her face. Chi-Chi rarely appeared when there were many people around. Yiqing Luo looked at Chi-Chi doubtfully. Awu, Chi-Chi let out a low growl, its black tiger eyes staring in the direction that Long Yunjian had left, and it let out another low growl. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk slightly as she maintained a uniform pace to keep up with the student's rhythm while rubbing Chi-Chi's head as she suppressed her voice. You want to get close to Long Yunjian? Chi-Chi nodded her head and responded in a low voice. Chi-Chi was interested in Long Yunjian. After all, Chi-Chi had been by her side for such a long time. Other than sleeping, she had never seen it interested in anything or anyone. She then thought of the way Long Yunjian had looked at her just now. It seemed like there was a need to meet Long Yunjian in private. 10 laps. In less than the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, all the students had finished running. Ni Ruopen also persisted in running 2 laps and was currently running the 3rd lap. Her head was filled with perspiration and her legs were heavy as she ran, but she clenched her teeth and persisted in moving forward. At this moment, these students didn't act like usual. After running 10 laps, they discovered that Ni Ruopan hadn't finished running 2 laps and instead lagged behind, so they went up to ridicule her. Perhaps Yiqing Luo's words earlier had infected them. Chapter 293. Come on. You can definitely finish the 3rd round. Right. Adjust your breathing and follow my rhythm, let's run together. Ni Ruopan originally ran until she was completely exhausted. Her entire body was so heavy as though it was going to collapse any time, but she kept hearing the encouragement from her classmates. This was something she had never experienced before. Those words of encouragement were like a warm spring that flowed through her heart. As though something was about to burst out of her body. In the midst of perspiration, Ni Ruopan saw 2 students running behind her. Following that, more and more students followed. In the end, even Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were following behind her, maintaining the same speed as her. The more tired she was, the more touched she felt. The more touched she was, the more she had to clench her teeth and run forward. In front of her, she couldn't see anything else. The encouragement and cheering from her classmates echoed in her mind over and over again. The heat that lingered in his body surged through his limbs and bones, wave after wave. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at Ni Ruo Pan, who was being encouraged by the group of students. Her gaze seemed muddy, but it revealed a resolute look. Her footsteps were heavy and slow, but she still stubbornly moved forward. Yiqing Luo's eyes rose slightly as her long and narrow eyes outlined a demonic arc. She crossed her arms as she looked at the resolute Ni Ruo Pan, and her eyes were gradually filled with warmth. "You're really an extraordinary person." Behind her, a voice as still as water was heard. Following that, a crisp bell rang and Mo Yuing had already appeared behind Yiqing Luo. "She's been here for 2 months and our 100 sentences are not as good as your 1 sentence. Mo Yuying's gaze was cold as she glanced at Ni Ruo Pan. "You're indeed filled with hope." Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. "It's not that I'm filled with hope, nor is it because I'm an extraordinary person. It's just that you didn't use the right method." These people had all walked out from the waste. Under Long Yun Zhan's training, they had today's achievements. But deep in their hearts, they were still unable to forget the humiliation of being waste. Perhaps those with backbone and unyielding character would try their best to cooperate with Long Yun Zhan's training in order to slap their faces. But Ni Ruo Pan was different. She had decided from the bottom of her heart that she was a good-for-nothing. Actually, Ni Rupan isn't weak. It's just that she feels too inferior. As long as Ni Rupan's inferiority complex and resistance toward cultivation were removed, she would definitely be able to blend in with the class. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her lips curled into an extremely shallow arc. The current Ni Ruo Pan only needs to persevere on, and she will definitely be able to see hope. Mo Yuing's expressionless face slowly shifted towards Ni Rupan. When he looked at Ni Rupan's expression, a dark light flashed in his calm eyes. Ni Rupan's breathing became smoother as she ran, and even her heavy legs seemed to have become lighter. As she ran, she enjoyed the cool breeze blowing on her cheeks. A ball of heat rose from his chest to his heart and head. All of a sudden, a powerful stream of air shot out from his body. Boom! A deafening sound was heard as Ni Rupan stopped abruptly. At the same time, an intimidating voice rang out, "Everyone, retreat quickly." The students were usually used to hearing this command in the training grounds. When this voice rang, their bodies instinctively retreated backwards. They had just retreated a few steps when they saw Ni Rupan's entire body emitting numerous yellow lights, densely bursting out. Chapter 294. Advanced. Ni Ruo Pan advanced. All the students who had retreated looked in disbelief at Ni Ruo Pan, who was wrapped in the profound light. This was the sign of advancement. It can't be. She can advance just by running. Does it need to be so simple? The student's tone was filled with envy and jealousy. "I run 10 laps every morning, noon and night. Why didn't I advance? Not fair, not fair." The students were seething. This was the first time they saw such a way of advancement. "You knew about it long ago." Mo Yuing looked at the smiling Yiqing Luo and recalled that she had dismissed a bunch of students who were surrounding Ni Ruo Pan in time. If she hadn't known that Ni Ruo Pan would advance, why would Yiqing Luo open her mouth in time? If it wasn't for Yiqing Luo's warning, the students who were surrounding Ni Ruo Pan would probably be sent flying by the self-protection layer formed when Ni Ruo Pan was advancing. Light injuries would be to the bones, heavy injuries would be to the internal organs. It was very likely that it would affect the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later. Yiqing Luo shook her head, her eyes were glistening. "I just found out that to advance to the profound grade, not only one's own strength and profound chi have reached the standard, but also an opportunity." Ni Ruo Pan's profound grade was yellow profound 6th grade, the only thing she lacked was her state of mind. This time, with Yiqing Luo's guidance, her state of mind had undergone an earth-shattering change, so naturally she would advance. Earlier Yi Qing Luo also saw Ni Ruo Pan running, that increasingly light footsteps, and Ni Ruo Pan's slightly raised lips, so she deduced it. Mo Yue nodded thoughtfully. The gaze she gave Yi Qing Luo had added some deeper meaning. Ni Ruo Pan was enveloped in the yellow light, her chi surged and suddenly exploded. The scorching heat seemed to be burning her entire body. The heat surging crazily in his chest came wave after wave. Ah! A low cry came from Ni Ruo Pan's mouth. She clenched her fists and straightened her chest. The yellow light that enveloped her turned into numerous light rays, crackling as it shot out. The light dissipated and Ni Ruo Pan slowly opened her eyes. She stared at her own hands, her own feet, her current body. The feeling was totally different from when she was running with all her might. Her body was light as a feather, both her legs were light and powerful. His breathing was smooth, and he felt a sense of satisfaction. Classmate Yi. Thank you. Thank you. Ni Ruo Pan quickly realized that she had advanced. And the source of this advancement was Yi Qing Luo. If it wasn't for Yi Qing Luo's reminder, she would probably carry on living with a cowardly mentality, living on with inferiority for the rest of her life. The changes that had taken place in his body were simply incredible. Ni Ruo Pan was so agitated that her eyes turned red as she hurriedly walked towards Yi Qing Luo and held her wrist. I did it. I finished 2 laps and even advanced. Hold back your tears. Yi Qing Luo lightly curled her lips. Since you've decided to take this step, then don't shed a single tear. Crying is the behavior of the weak. Ni Ruo Pan's eyes reddened. She tried her best to hold back her tears and nodded vigorously. Nothing in the world is impossible for those who set their minds to it. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her hand. There are many things. If you do it, you might not necessarily succeed, but if you don't do it, then you will definitely not succeed. The road is walked by yourself, everything depends on you. Ni Ruo Pan nodded her head as she stared at Yi Qing Luo with adoration, as though she had already treated Yi Qing Luo as her idol. Chapter 295. Also known as the unspoken secret between the author and the character. Today was the birthday of the author of Weish 7th Missy. Overlord, be gentle with your love. Mo out of joy, Master Mo decisively spent a huge sum of money to gather the cast of Weish 7th Missy together. The layout of the scene was high-end, low-key and luxurious. The grand hall of the imperial palace was majestic and magnificent. Master Mo lazily reclined on the soft couch in the main hall, surrounded by all kinds of fresh meat and little beauties. Feet massaged and fruits handed out. That was really satisfying. Yi Qing Luo was dressed in a gorgeous red dress. The hem of her skirt was like a blooming rose, petals fluttering as she walked. Yi Qing Luo walked over with a cake. Happy birthday, Master Mo. Master Mo's eyes widened and sparkled. My big beauty, you are still the best to me. Come, let's drink and chat, eat cake and sing songs. Yi Qing Luo covered her mouth and smiled. Her enchanting eyes stared at Master Mo. Actually, I am here today to discuss something with Master Mo. Master Mo blinked his eyes, his little heart thumping. What? Are you here to have unspoken rules for this author? Yi Qing Luo's finger hooked up a bit of cake and sent it to Master Mo's mouth, smiling charmingly. Speaking of which, Master Mo, when are you going to let me become an overlord? Now I am progressing step by step, leapfrogging monsters and whatnot. My dear readers are getting anxious. Master Mo took a bite of the cake from the beauty. Ahahaha, don't panic, this author has his own plans. Suddenly, a young boy popped out from the side, red lips and white teeth. That. Master Mo, can I make a request? Master Mo hooked his finger and pulled the young boy into his arms. Little you, say it. This author is happy today, whatever request you have, just say it. Of course, whether I am satisfied or not, depends on this author's mood. Wahahaha. Yi Feng Yu lowered his head. Is my screen time too little? Can you let me add in some scenes? Master Mo rubbed his chin. That depends on your performance. Before Yi Feng Yu could speak, he was pulled away by a hand. Yi Qing Luo came over. Little Yu, you are still young, there will be scenes in the future, let sister and Master Mo have a good talk, old man Gue you, damn. And me? Where are my scenes? Motherf asterisk cur. You promised me to go to the devil class to be a teacher. Master Mo, have you forgotten about me? Yi Tian Kuang and the rest of the Yi family members weakly raised their hands. For the sake of Grandpa Mo's birthday, can you add a show for our Three Springs sect? After all, the Three Springs sect is about to decline, we have to show our faces. Yi Fingru was expressionless. I've already made the readers forget who I am. Who am I? Damn, I don't even know who I am anymore. The mouths of those from the Yuchi family twitched. We're the ones who have been forgotten. The readers. Looks like too many people have been forgotten by Elder Mo. Elder Mo leaned back and shook his legs sloppily. If I want to show my face and be on camera, I have to pay something. For example, a bribe or something. All the characters fluttered towards Elder Mo. Me. Bribe. I pay. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew. A powerful pressure immediately spread out in the hole. In the air, there seemed to be banging sounds. A purple figure descended from the sky. Everyone exclaimed, Your Majesty! Your Majesty! Dmo Xian's noble and elegant gaze swept across the group of people. Get lost! Everyone was stunned. They wanted to be promoted, but they wanted to live even more. They shrank to the side. Elder Mo, who was shaking his legs, froze on the soft couch. At this moment, his legs were no longer shaking and he was no longer smiling. He was going to be dumbfounded. Motherf asterisk cur. The Dmo Xian's aura was too strong. This author packed his bags and was ready to run away. Before he could take a few steps, the Dmo Xian's golden ratio body blocked in front of him. Elder Mo's whole body trembled and the smile on his face froze. He saw the Dmo Xian's finger move, slowly, Mamma Mia. Is this because this author flirted with his wife and he wants to kill this author? Just as Elder Mo was about to beg for mercy, he saw the Dmo Xian holding out a cake. The Dmo Xian, Elder Mo. Happy birthday. On this grand day, please give me more opportunities to get close to the female lead. Everyone, Elder Mo. Immediately, Elder Mo raised his head firmly and put on an unyielding expression. Do you think you can make me surrender with force? The Dmo Xian, 100 book coins for a hug. 500 book coins for a kiss. Elder Mo, deal. Deal. Readers, damn it, where's my integrity? Thank you, babies, for sending birthday blessings on Elder Mo's birthday. Every blessing warmed Elder Mo's heart. Elder Mo has never regretted entering the writing industry because I know that I am not the only one fighting. Thank you sincerely. Because the author has something to say recently, for some unknown reason, it has been swallowed by the system. Many words are not displayed on the phone. Let me borrow this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you. Ning Mo Ye Xian, lifetime bound, helpless He Jiao, Hitian Xia for specially sending gifts on Elder Mo's birthday. Thank you. Meow. Lulu for sending gifts and blessings. P.S. The post-grabbing activity has already begun. Just reply to the book comments at the top and wish Elder Mo well, or express your opinion about one. There is a chance of winning a prize and a QQ red packet. Chapter 296. What feeling was that? The students' smiling expressions slowly froze on their faces. The noisy training grounds fell into a strange silence. They were all in deep thoughts. Qiao Jin didn't urge them as he silently played with the gold coin darts in his hands, as he waited for their reply in a composed manner. Only occasionally, his gaze would drift towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. After some time, one of the students raised his arm. I'm very happy. Qiao Jin smiled, indicating for him to continue. Seeing student NI not only completed 2 rounds, but also ran an extra round and even advanced, I'm very excited and very happy. This kind of feeling was unable to be expressed in words. It was as if they had seen themselves in the past, trying their best to shake off the name of waste. Seeing NI Ruo Pan's advancement was like seeing themselves advancing. That kind of excitement, gratification and indescribable feeling burned their nerves. This was indeed much better than them constantly bullying Ni Ruo Pan, finding balance and comfort from her. Especially when they heard Xiao Jin say that Ni Ruo Pan's advancement had an inseparable relationship with them, their hearts became even more agitated. Now their inner hearts were filled with fulfillment. When one of them opened his mouth, the other students started nodding their heads in agreement. At this moment, the students' gazes towards Yiqing Luo no longer had the unwillingness from before. They were sincerely grateful to Yiqing Luo for enlightening them. This new student indeed had enough ability to become a member of the class committee. With just a few words, you've subdued a bunch of stubborn students' hearts. How do you feel? Xiao Jin laughed lightly as he leaned his head over, as his brows rose in ridicule. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she remained calm. I've said this before, right from the start, you guys didn't use the right method. Why do you say that? Xiao Jin asked curiously. One must know that Long Yun Zhan was based on every student's characteristics, transforming them step by step, which resulted in today's devil class. Yiqing Luo actually said that they didn't use the right method right from the start. Yiqing Luo's eyes squinted as her curly long lashes cast an extremely shallow arc shadow at the corner of her eyes. In your mindset, only the strong can survive, and you also think that it's a matter of course for these students to bully Ni Ruo Pan, but you haven't thoroughly understood these students' inner hearts. In devil class, perhaps these students were once waste, so they were abandoned and thrown into devil class. However, Long Yun Zhan and the others weren't trash. As the saying goes, dragons give birth to dragons, and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. Their temperament determined that they were not ordinary people. You don't understand the reason why the students bullied Ni Rupan. You also think that as a weakling, Ni Rupan should accept such treatment. With such a mindset, you naturally won't be able to open Ni Rupan's heart. When Xiao Jin heard this, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. How did you know? This freshman was too terrifying. It was only his first day in class, and he had already analyzed the temperaments of these students so thoroughly. Intuition. Yiqing Luo smiled mysteriously, her eyes curved, revealing a bit of craftiness. Apparently, Yiqing Luo had no intention to continue answering their questions. Xiao Jin rubbed his nose. Anyway, there was still a long way to go, and by then he would be able to dig out the answer that he wanted to know from Yiqing Luo's mouth. Come. In order to celebrate student Ni successfully advancing to the Yellow Xian 7th grade and taking the first step towards becoming a strong expert, let's add another 5 rounds. At that moment, the students who had smiles on their faces and had excited expressions on their faces complained to the heavens. What kind of celebration was this? It was simply torture. Although they were grumbling incessantly, but all of them still obeyed the orders and lined up properly, running around the training grounds once again. Chapter 297. The devil class's training was not as simple as the 2 instructors' freshman training. Especially in preparation for the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later, Xiao Jin had been torturing everyone. For the next few days, Yiqing Luo had to report to the freshman training grounds early in the morning, to accept the 2 instructors' daily torture. By the time she returned to the dormitory from the freshman training grounds, it was already 5 in the afternoon. She would at most take a bath, nap for 1 hour, sleep for at most 2 hours before she was woken up by Chi Chi and rushed to join the devil class's training. Although her body was exhausted, but after these few days of training, this body's quality was getting better and better. In time, it would definitely consolidate this body's quality to the strongest foundation. But in these few days, something had happened which made Yiqing Luo extremely painful, but she slowly accepted it in the midst of the pain. That was, when Yiqing Luo's body was exhausted and fell onto the bed, she felt for the medicine bottle under the pillow. That mysterious Mr. Chu sent over some medicinal pills which could relieve her body's fatigue. But this touch, she touched empty air. Could it be that someone had entered her room? That's not right. If someone else had entered her room, there would definitely be some clues left behind. Yiqing Luo had formed a habit in her past life. She remembered clearly the location of everything in her territory. If someone touched it slightly or moved it by a little, she would be able to detect it sharply. When she was lying on the bed, she didn't notice any traces of the bedding and pillow being moved. If no one entered, then who took away her medicine bottle? Just as Yiqing Luo was frowning in deep thoughts, a slight sound came from the half-opened window. The room was instantly filled with an elegant sandalwood fragrance. The man's mellow and intoxicating voice rang out leisurely, "Is Lil Luo looking for these two things?" Yiqing Luo suddenly sat up straight and saw a tall and straight figure standing by the window. He was dressed in a demonic purple robe. The sleeves were wrapped with golden threads, flowing with flowing light as it swayed. It was indescribable. He had a head of cloud-like black hair that was held in place by a purple-gold crown that hung down to his shoulders. He looked languid yet noble. On the peerless face, his thin lips curved into a playful arc. That pair of shining black eyes were as dazzling as obsidian. There were 2 jade bottles in his raised hand. Wasn't this the medicinal bottle that Yiqing Luo was looking for? "Why are my pills with you?" Yiqing Luo glared at Dmo Xian. This man had snuck into her room again without her knowing. That's right, other than Dmo Xian, there wasn't a second person who could sneak into her room and not be discovered by her. "Are you sure that this is your elixir?" Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows and the teasing smile on his lips deepened. Yiqing Luo's pink lips quivered as she suddenly understood the reason why he took away the bottle. "You dare to accept other men's things. You still dare to use it." Seeing that Yiqing Luo didn't speak, Dmo Xian didn't intend to beat around the bush. He weighed the bottle in his hand and sneered, "Lil Luo, your guts aren't small. I don't know the person who sent the medicine." Hearing Dmo Xian's interrogation, Yiqing Luo, who had a clear conscience, started to feel guilty. It was a fact that she had used other men's pills. She didn't think too much about it at that time. Because in Yiqing Luo's eyes, other than Dmo Xian, no matter if it was male or female, they were all treated equally. Chapter 298. The more Dmo Xian asked, the more guilty Yiqing Luo felt. She knew that Dmo Xian wasn't blaming her for accepting other men's things. But he was blaming her for trusting others easily. Dmo Xian was concerned about her. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings as her pink lips pursed slightly. "I'm an alchemist. If I don't have full confidence, I won't take it." Even old man Song felt that this bottle of pills was of the highest grade, so naturally there wasn't any problem. However, Yiqing Luo's reply made Dmo Xian's expression turn colder as the arc on his lips turned deeper. "In that case, you feel that accepting this bottle of pills is the right thing to do?" Yiqing Luo. At this moment, how would she dare to nod her head? She pursed her lips as she stared at Dmo Xian's peerless face and shook her head. "Since it's not right, then I'm confiscating this pill." Dmo Xian's fingers closed and that ring which was similar to Yiqing Luo's flashed as he placed the 2 bottles of pills into it. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and forcefully retracted it. Damn it! Without this bottle of pills to restore her body's energy, then she could only rely on her willpower to carry on with the devil class's training. Rest for a while. Dmo Xian saw her obediently retracting her hand as his lips curled into a satisfied smile. His figure moved slightly and a purple figure pressed down on Yiqing Luo's eyes. The sandalwood scent assaulted her nostrils, as though it wanted to wrap Yiqing Luo up from head to toe. Following that, Yiqing Luo's head was resting on Dmo Xian's chest. The young lady's petite and soft body was hugged tightly in the man's arms. The man's large palm covered the young lady's head. Sleep. A deep, hoarse, and mellow voice that was like fine wine gently rang in her ears. Like a melodious lullaby, Yiqing Luo's body and mind relaxed in his arms as her eyelids became extremely heavy. Her eyes closed and fell asleep in a short while. Yiqing Luo was woken up by Qi and Shiju's licking. When she opened her eyes, Dmo Xian was no longer beside her. She reached out to touch the side of her body, but there was no trace of his warmth. But in the room, there was still a lingering sandalwood scent which made her feel at ease, proving Dmo Xian's existence. After she got off the bed, what attracted Yiqing Luo's attention wasn't Qi-Qi's constant reminders that it was only a short while to the evening, but, in the corner, hung 2 bamboo poles with her wet uniform and her underwear. Yiqing Luo's mouth twitched. This man helped her wash her clothes again. Was he really going to be the 24 filial husbands? This time, she endured it. That was enough. It was going to happen a second time. So shameful. Yiqing Luo's cheeks flushed red as she stared at the academy uniform which was still dripping water. Thinking of Dmo Xian's slender fingers, washing her clothes, washing her intimate clothes. Her cheeks turned even redder. These clothes can still be worn. No, it seemed like she was already wearing it. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and stared at the clothes on her body. As she recalled the image of Dmo Xian washing the clothes in her mind, her delicate body trembled slightly, and her body temperature seemed to be on the rise. Ow ow ow, Qi leaped onto Yiqing Luo's shoulder, reminding her to pay attention to the time. When she heard the academy's bell ringing, Yiqing Luo's scorching heat was so scared that she broke out in cold sweat. Chapter 299. In the end, Yiqing Luo was late. As a member of the class committee, she should set an example. Hence, Yiqing Luo was punished with double training. After that, every time Yiqing Luo changed out of the uniform and woke up, the changed clothes would be washed clean and hung on the bamboo. Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation and simply prepared to wash her clothes immediately after her bath. But she was stopped by Wind, who was hiding in the dark. Unable to bear it any longer, Yiqing Luo said forcefully when Dmo Xian came to the dormitory, "I can wash my clothes myself, you are the overlord, helping a woman wash her clothes, if this gets out. You are too tired from training, rest more and recover your strength." Not waiting for her to finish, Dmo Xian had already walked over slowly and stretched out his hand to pull her into his arms. "I help my own woman wash clothes, even if this gets out, so what?" Yiqing Luo was instantly rendered speechless as she was stuffed with nothing to say. Especially the first time she heard Dmo Xian call her his own woman, Yiqing Luo's heart was thundering and beating faster. "Just take a good rest, leave the rest to me." Dmo Xian hugged her waist tightly, his warm breath was inhaling and exhaling bit by bit. The man's low and hoarse voice was filled with helplessness. "You are so stubborn and want to grow up alone, relying on your own strength to walk side by side with me. I am unable to intervene in your training, the only thing I can do for you is this." Yiqing Luo's face blushed slightly and a trace of warmth appeared. She slowly raised her head, her charming eyes were filled with warmth. The slightly raised pink lips revealed a few traces of a shy smile that never appeared on her face. After this, Yiqing Luo had completely accepted this matter and no longer showed any resistance. Time passed quickly and it was already half a month later. Tomorrow they would enter the heavenly training forest with the high profound class. In order to let everyone maintain the best condition, the students' training was cancelled and let them have a good rest. When the students heard this, they all cheered and shouted excitedly. Yiqing Luo's tiredness was also tinged with a sense of relaxation. During this period of training, she constantly trained during the day to consolidate her body's quality, and at night she entered the Azure Dew bracelet to listen to Old Man Song's guidance to cultivate profound qi. There was no spare time at all. And in this period of time, Long Yunzhan did not return to the devil class. Yiqing Luo's request to meet Long Yunzhan on behalf of Qi was also pushed back. Tomorrow was the actual combat training, and based on Yiqing Luo's current status and position in devil class, it was rather awkward. Quite a number of students were waiting for Yiqing Luo's performance in the actual combat training. Especially Tong Ziqing and Dan Baishi. They had suffered a loss in Yiqing Luo's hands, and after finding out that Yiqing Luo had become a member of the class committee on the first day she entered the class, the entire class of students seemed to have acknowledged Yiqing Luo. In this actual combat training, if Yiqing Luo's performance wasn't outstanding, the both of them would absolutely fall out on the spot. It was better to have a good rest today and conserve energy for tomorrow's training. After quietly waiting for Qiao Jin to finish speaking, the students dispersed. Just as he was about to leave the devil class excitedly, he suddenly heard a rough and arrogant voice coming from outside the courtyard. What the F***ck? The devil class is indeed the devil class. This courtyard is so dilapidated that it's simply unlivable. The excited students' expressions suddenly congealed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's expressions sunk slightly as they exchanged glances and looked towards the tightly shut second door. Chapter 300. For the past few years, other than those students who were forcefully allocated to devil class, no one else was willing to go near this place. But just in case, Long Yunzhan would arrange for a few students to keep watch outside devil class's courtyard, not letting anyone other than the devil class discover the devil class's secret. Coincidentally today, for the matter of entering the heavenly training forest tomorrow, Qiao Jin had set up a small array outside the courtyard and called in the students who were keeping watch outside for a meeting. Someone had broken his array. All the students held their breaths. Damn it! How can this kind of environment allow my Luo lass to study in peace? That voice was still scolding outside. Many students vaguely heard the three words Luo lass, and their gazes all shifted to Yiqing Luo. In the entire class, the only one who could be addressed as Luo lass was Yiqing Luo alone. After Yiqing Luo heard this voice, she already knew who the person outside was. Such an irritable temper. Who kept calling Luo lass, other than Master Guiyu? Who else could it be? It had been almost half a month. Guiyu had mentioned that he wanted to be a master in devil class but was rejected by the elders. From Lu Xiaoyu's mouth, Guiyu had gone to look for the director. After that, there was no news of Guiyu. She had not expected him to really come to devil class. Perhaps, our devil class will have a master to teach in future. Yiqing Luo's thin lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards the second door. The students gasped in shock. Master to teach. They had stayed in devil class for at least 5 to 6 years but had never seen a master to teach. Especially 3 years ago, when Long Yunzhan came. They didn't need those so-called masters. With Long Yunzhan and the class committee, it was enough. Student Yi, that person outside the courtyard. Is that the master you know? Qiao Jin's expression was slightly displeased. To them, the devil class was their group. With them supervising the students' training and guiding their cultivation, there was no need for those masters. They were a collective of students and didn't want any outsiders to interfere. I think you should have heard of Old Man Guiyu's name. Yiqing Luo understood their thoughts, but since Guiyu had already decided on something, even she would not be able to convince him. She could only say the name of the traveling ghost first. Old man Guai Yu's epaulette was just a yellow horizontal line. According to his status, he was the lowest-ranking teacher in the academy. However, he was always acting crazily in the academy. His temper was extremely bad, but he was respected by the other teachers. No one dared to blame him for his mysteriousness. Over time, he also became a man of the moment in the mouths of the students. All the students in the academy had guessed old man Guai Yu's identity. Because of this, the devil class students had heard of Guai Yu when he was mentioned. "You mean old man Guai Yu is prepared to come to our class and be our teacher?" One of the students swallowed hard and asked in disbelief. Guai Yu was mysterious and powerful in the eyes of the students. Although no one had seen Guai Yu fight. But even the masters of the high profound class were submissive in front of Guai Yu, which showed Guai Yu's strength. Such a strong, mysterious and insane person, coming to the devil class to be a teacher. Would the academy agree? Xiao Jin frowned. Class monitor still doesn't know about this matter. Regarding Fu Zi, let's wait for class monitor to decide. Now think of a way to send Guai Yu away from the devil class. Chapter 301. But before they could react, old man Guai Yu had already reached the second door. His steps had always been heavy and swaying, as if he was drunk. The students heard it clearly and their faces changed. Each of them held their breaths, afraid that old man Guai Yu outside the courtyard would sense their presence. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she sized up the expressions of the surrounding students. These students obviously didn't want any masters to discover the devil class's secret. Even if this master was extremely mysterious and powerful. "Little brats, why aren't you coming out to welcome me when you hear my voice? What kind of cowardice are you guys?" Outside the courtyard, old man Guai Yu roared in a rough voice. Yiqing Luo suddenly recalled that in order to prevent outsiders from discovering this training ground, Beiming Lulu had smeared a bunch of unknown drugs on the door. If old man Guai Yu touched those drugs, her expression changed and immediately shouted, "Master Guai Yu, don't push the door." Just as her voice fell, a strong gust of wind was set off. Yiqing Luo's open mouth was sprayed with a mouthful of sand. Immediately, a boom sound was heard and the second door fell straight down. Sand and pebbles flew as the dust curled up. Yiqing Luo was stunned. The students were also stunned. "What kind of broken door is this? How dare you block my way?" A valiant and spirited voice spat out fiercely. In the midst of the dust, a slender figure was faintly discernible. Old man Guai Yu was wearing a loose teacher's white robe, both of his hands were in the middle of retracting his palms. His face, which was full of wrinkles and appeared fierce, was filled with an impatient expression. Perhaps old man Guai Yu was going to meet the students today, so he had specially tied his usual messy hair into a teacher's hairstyle. After the dust dispersed, old man Guai Yu saw Yiqing Luo standing at the door, messy in the wind. He was beaming with joy as he quickly walked into the training ground and opened his arms to embrace Yiqing Luo. "Luo lass, I'm here. Ha 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 ha, I'm finally here to be your teacher." Old man Guai Yu's character was so simple and crude. The students, each of them felt like there were thousands of horses galloping and roaring in their hearts. Damn! This old man was the legendary old man Guai Yu. Are you sure he's not a crazy old man? The most important thing was, their door. Their door that was immune to all poisons. It was destroyed just like that. Cough, cough, cough. Yiqing Luo suddenly choked and spat out the sand in her mouth. "Master Guai Yu." Old man Guai Yu wrapped his arm around Yiqing Luo's shoulder and said with a grin, "You don't know how much I have suffered in order to be your teacher. That old fellow, the dean, wants me to back off in the face of difficulties. Hee hee. My heart to teach Luo Yu is not something he can stop." The first sentence, old man Guai Yu's tone seemed to be seeking credit from Yiqing Luo. The last sentence was filled with pride. She didn't know if it was Yi-Ching Luo's misperception, but when he mentioned the director, that pair of turbid eyes of old man Guiyu vaguely revealed a hint of ridicule. In the blink of an eye, it was replaced by complacency. It was so fast that Yi-Ching Luo wondered if she had seen wrongly. This is... Qiao Jin's expression was extremely ugly. Before he could stop old man Guiyu, he had already barged in. If old man Guiyu revealed the devil class's secret to the academy, these students who had turned over a new leaf would definitely be dispersed to other classes. Thinking of this, Qiao Jin's expression turned even uglier. Seeing Yi-Ching Luo coming out, Lu Xiaoyu was slightly stunned and her expression immediately softened. "Ching Luo, sorry to wake you up." During this period of time, Yi-Ching Luo seemed to be especially busy. Every time she returned to the freshman training grounds, she would disappear without a trace. If she knew that Yi-Ching Luo was sleeping in the dormitory, she would definitely not argue with Lu Xiaoyu. Seeing Yi-Ching Luo, a sliver of astonishment flashed past Lu Xiaoyu's eyes. Yi-Ching Luo waved her hand. "What's wrong? Isn't it because of some conceited person, showing off?" Before Lu Xiaoyu could finish her sarcastic words, it was suppressed by Lu Xiaoyu's cold voice, merely talking about the matter of the high profound class entering the heavenly training forest tomorrow. Your little follower is currently envious and jealous. Chapter 303. We are freshmen, you are an old woman who has been in the academy for a few years. What's there to be proud of if you know what kind of place the heavenly training forest is? Lu Xiaoyu gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. Looking at Lu Xiaoyu's smug look, the more she looked, the more annoyed she was. She didn't know what she was so proud of. Lu Xiaoyu, who was putting on a superior attitude and was ready to explain where the heavenly training forest was, when she heard the 3 words, "old woman," her face immediately turned black. Age was a woman's biggest Achilles heel. Especially someone like Lu Xiaoyu who was already 20 years old. The most intolerable thing was these 3 words. At 20 years old, in this era, she was probably the mother of a few children. Lu Xiaoyu entered the Heavenly Academy at the age of 15 and had been accompanying Si Yanmu for 5 years. Until now, Si Yanmu had no intention to marry her. The people from the Lu family were urging her openly and secretly. These 3 words simply poked at Lu Xiaoyu's sore spot. Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes were scarlet red, her fingers suddenly clenched into a fist, the teacup in her hand suddenly exploded and shattered into pieces. She slammed the table and stood up, the palm wind directly pressed towards Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu had never thought that Lu Xiaoyu would dare to directly make a move and immediately did not react. It was Yi-Ching Luo who tugged her from behind, flipped her hand and set off a palm wind to meet the attack. The 2 palms met, the strong airflow was undisguised, setting off a huge wave in the dormitory. Everything in the hall was thrown to the ground with a crackling sound. Lu Xiaoyu and Yi-Ching Luo took a step back at the same time. "Ching Luo, you are crazy." Lu Xiaoyu immediately came up and supported Yi-Ching Luo. The academy does not allow students to fight in private. Just now both of them had released their profound qi. It would definitely be detected by the profound qi sensing device set up by the academy. And Lu Xiaoyu, who was forced to take 2 steps back and finally stood firm, when she heard Lu Xiaoyu's words, she quivered. Lu Xiaoyu, who had always been calm and self-controlled, other than Si Yanmu, nothing could disturb her emotions. He was actually provoked by Lu Xiaoyu's words and made a move. Yi-Ching Luo's eyes were smiling as an enchanting light flowed in her charming eyes. "Vice President, what a coincidence, I happen to know what kind of place the heavenly training forest is." Her index finger brushed a strand of hair on her shoulder as she smiled charmingly. "As the Vice President, you knowingly broke the law. I wonder if you can still participate in the training of your high profound class tomorrow." Lu Shuayu's face darkened even more. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. Just now, you also used your Xian Qi. Do you think you can escape me? So what? Yiqing Luo chuckled, the person who is going to the training forest is not me. Even if I am punished by the academy, it is not a big loss. But it is a rare actual combat training. I am afraid you will not be able to show your strength in front of Si Yenmu. Lu Shuayu's cold eyes were filled with disbelief. Yiqing Luo had more or less guessed his thoughts. Lu Shuyue was about to vomit blood. She wasn't an impulsive person, but the minute she saw Lu Xiaoyu, she thought of Yiqing Luo. She just couldn't hold it in. She subconsciously used tomorrow's training forest to ridicule Lu Xiaoyu and Yiqing Luo. But she didn't expect to be slapped in the face by Yiqing Luo. Not only did she know about the training forest, she even forced her to act impulsively. Chapter 304. Footsteps were heard outside the dormitory door. Lu Shuayu held her breath. The elders had found their way here so quickly. Soon after, accompanied by the crisp sound of a bell, the dormitory door was pushed open. Mo Yuing stuck her head in and stared at Yiqing Luo. "Student Yi, please come over." Lu Shuayu heaved a sigh of relief. Yiqing Luo patted Lu Xiaoyu's hand lightly and asked her to return to her room to rest, in case Lu Shuayu vented her anger on her. Staring at Yiqing Luo's departing figure, Lu Shuayu clenched her fists tightly as she gritted her teeth. Just two waste from the waste class, birds of a feather flock together. Lu Xiaoyu sneered, "If you have the time, why don't you think about how to explain to your dear president that you knowingly broke the law today?" Saying that, she ignored Lu Shuayu's hateful gaze and walked straight into her room. Following Mo Yuing, they arrived at the devil class. On the training ground, they saw a few students who were training. Walking straight, they stopped in front of the wooden door next to the classroom. Above the wooden door, there was a plaque with strong and vigorous handwriting, written with the words, "Class Committee." Looking at the handwriting and the degree of delicacy of the plaque, it should be from Long Yunzhan's hands. Mo Yuing knocked on the door and a clear voice was heard from inside, "Come in." Mo Yuing pushed the door and the two entered the room. This room, rather than saying it was the class committee, it was more like a library. It wasn't a big room, but there were more than 10 bookshelves, displaying various books. At the end of the bookshelf, there was an 8-person square table. Long Yunzhan and the rest of the class committee sat by the side. Seeing Yiqing Luo coming over, Qiao Jin pulled a wooden chair over and gestured for her to sit down. "Want to plead for that teacher?" Long Yunzhan looked up indifferently, his azure blue eyes were flowing with a glossy luster. His gaze was as clear as water, without any fluctuation. Being stared at, Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. She pursed her lips and shook her head slowly. "It's not pleading, Teacher Gue, you doesn't need any pleading, I just hope you can consider accepting him." "Reason." Long Yunzhan spat out 2 words. Yiqing Luo smiled, "Because the devil class needs teachers." Qiao Jin frowned, "Devil class has the class monitor in us. All these years, we still didn't have a teacher and we still managed to come this far." Yan Xiaoyi nodded her head. She put away her usual loveliness and replied solemnly, "Teacher is a member of the academy after all. Placing someone from the academy in our class will only hinder our training in the future. He is Guiyu." Yiqing Luo's voice was very soft, but it carried an unquestionable charisma, easily suppressing the duo's rebuttal. Her pink lips curled up slightly, her pair of charming eyes calm and clear. "I'm sure the class monitor has heard of his name. To be able to be second only to the dean in the academy, it is enough to prove his own strength. I admit, the main reason why Teacher Guiyu came to the devil class to teach is because of me, but the bigger reason is because he wants to become a teacher. Saying that, the smile on Yiqing Luo's lips revealed some gentleness. You've put in so much effort for the devil class's students, don't tell me you're really willing to hide behind others. She didn't believe that these students wanted to be waste for the rest of their lives. Who didn't want to stand in front of everyone openly and tell everyone that they were not waste? However, they couldn't say it out loud. This was the devil class's secret, everyone's secret. Chapter 305. Yiqing Luo's words made the few of them silent. They had to admit that what she said was right. Long Yunzhan had no intention to keep this secret. He wanted to lead the devil class to become the first class in the academy at the most appropriate time. Guo Yu's appearance was indeed an opportunity to bring the devil class out of everyone's sight. But, who in the academy did not know of Guo Yu's reputation? The news of him coming to teach in the devil class would definitely spread throughout the academy. Then wouldn't the devil class be exposed before it matured? This could easily lead to the academy forcefully allocating these students to other classes. Although you are able to guide the students and are respected by them, but the class monitor and the masters are not the same. Yiqing Luo smiled again. Previously, they would chase away the masters sent by the academy because they are unable to acknowledge that those masters have the ability to guide them. The masters were proud and arrogant, and there was competition between them. He wanted to raise his status by teaching outstanding students. No one was willing to teach the devil class. The masters looked down on the devil class, these students naturally looked down on those masters too. But Guo Yu is different. Yiqing Luo's slender fingertips gently stroked the profound phoenix ring on her finger. Don't worry about his status, there is no reason for him to compete with the other masters for results. Immediately, her fingers paused beside the ring. Her fair fingers, when contrasted with the ring that was emitting a red flowing light, appeared exceptionally bewitching. Guo Yu's ability is enough to shock the students. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved deeper, her smile became wider. Moreover, it is undeniable that deep in the hearts of the students, they still yearn for a master to teach, isn't it? Showing one's ability in front of the class monitor and showing one's ability in front of the masters, this state of mind was completely different. Just like showing one's skills to one's companions or friends, and showing one's skills in front of the elders were completely different. To obtain the elders' recognition and praise, it was as if one had already surpassed the elders. These students, who would want others to mention the devil class, with an attitude of, so it's the class that no masters are willing to teach, or something like that. Long Yunzhan narrowed his azure blue eyes slightly. The hand that was propping up his chin moved slightly. The others looked at each other in dismay. From the other party's eyes, she could tell that he had already been convinced by Yiqing Luo. After a while, Beiming Lu frowned slightly. Student Yi, what you said, we admit, your thoughts are indeed very good, but after all these are just your thoughts. If Teacher Guo Yu were to inform the dean about the devil class, I'm afraid that devil class, I won't. Yiqing Luo replied firmly, I know Teacher Guo Yu's character very well. If he had set his mind on you, in this academy, no matter what happens, he would unconditionally stand on the devil class's side. Old man Guo Yu was extremely protective, and it was obvious that he had some relationship with the academy. Seeing Yiqing Luo so certain, Beiming Lu didn't ask any further. They all looked at Long Yunzhan. Long Yunzhan's vision was fixated on the profound phoenix ring on Yiqing Luo's fingertip. Only when Yan Xiaoyi called out to the class monitor did he suddenly come back to his senses. The few of them felt strange and looked at the ring on Yiqing Luo's finger. Yiqing Luo was the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect and she was so powerful, it was normal for her to have a spatial ring in her hands. Chapter 306. Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped as she gazed at the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips. Long Yunjan shouldn't be staring at the profound phoenix ring. But Yiqing Luo sensed Chi-Chi's restlessness from the pet space as she clasped her hands together and comforted Chi-Chi in her heart, asking it to wait for a while. Gui Yu is indeed a different existence in the academy. I believe in student Yi. Long Yunjan, who had been silent for a long time, opened his mouth indifferently as his azure blue eyes seemed to be flickering. If you have no objections, then let Gui Yu become devil class's teacher. Xiao Jin's expression could no longer be described as ugly. Even the usually expressionless, puppet-like Mo Yuing also widened that pair of lively and adorable big eyes, staring at Long Yunjan in disbelief. Was this still their Sir Class Monitor? Why did it seem as though ever since Yiqing Luo appeared, Sir Class Monitor seemed to have changed into another person? Initially on the first day when Yiqing Luo just entered the class, Long Yunjan came to devil class twice, which made Xiao Jin and the rest secretly guessed. Originally, Xiao Jin was certain that Long Yunjan had feelings for Yiqing Luo. But in the following half a month, Long Yunjan was the same as before, not coming to devil class at all. Just at this moment, their hearts were finally put at ease, dispelling the idea of the godly class monitor having mortal heart. But now, it seemed as though they were relieved too early. Xiao Jin and the rest were able to stay by Long Yunjan's side for so many years. Naturally they weren't fools. By now, how would they not understand that Long Yunjan specially asked Yiqing Luo to give a reason to accept Gui Yu, was actually to convince them. Right from the start, Long Yunjan had no intention to reject Yiqing Luo's suggestion. This was simply too inconceivable. I don't agree. I definitely don't agree. Outside the door, a lady's cold voice was heard. The class committee's door was pushed open and a lady dressed in green and white uniform stood at the entrance. Her expression was icy cold, but her brows were filled with unyielding stubbornness. I only acknowledge class monitor and only listen to his training. Tong Ziqing, who allowed you to barge into the class committee? Xiao Jin's face sunk as he shouted sternly. Tong Ziqing raised her head up high with a calm look. I'm willing to accept the punishment for the crime of trespassing. But as a student of devil class, I have the right to raise my opinion. You. Xiao Jin's brows immediately knitted tightly. He naturally saw through Tong Ziqing's thoughts towards Long Yunjan. Just as he was, Yiqing Luo's raised her hand. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly as she placed her palms on the wooden table and stood up slowly. Although she was not as tall as Tong Ziqing, she released a majestic aura when she stood up. Tong Ziqing's heart skipped a beat, and she subconsciously took half a step back. Indeed, every student has the right to voice out their own opinions. Since student Tong has an opinion, I'm all ears. Yiqing Luo gave a bewitching smile. However, that smile made Tong Ziqing's hair stand on end. His throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he couldn't utter a single word for a long time. Tian's was teacher from. She. But Luanan, Long Ling Lu, Tian Long said. Yiqing Luo leaned against the wooden chair as she crossed her arms. Student Tong, are you in devil class for your studies or for the class monitor? The moment she said that, the entire room fell into a dead silence. Tong Ziqing's face flushed red. She liked Long Yunjan and everyone in devil class knew that. However, she had openly revealed this matter in front of Long Yunjan. No matter how noble and elegant she was still a young lady after all. Chapter 307. On the contrary, Long Yunjan's expression was calm, as though the class monitor which Yiqing Luo mentioned wasn't him. Tong Ziqing had wanted to take the opportunity to sneak a peek at Long Yunjan's face to see his answer. But as soon as he saw it, his heart turned cold. If it's for the class monitor, Even if Guiyu becomes the teacher of the devil class, the class monitor is still the class monitor of the devil class. You can still cling on to the class monitor and pester him every day. Yiqing Luo didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere as she continued talking. Her brows slightly raised, her charming eyes revealing a teasing look. If it's for learning, having Guiyu as a teacher is naturally beneficial to you. So, do you have any other opinions? Her words caused Tong Ziqing's face to turn red. She clenched her fists tightly, and her entire body trembled. Fortunately, Tong Ziqing had a strong mental fortitude. If it were any other woman, she would have covered her face and left in tears. She forcefully suppressed the surging anger within her, controlling her own emotions as her icy cold beautiful eyes stared icily at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo, someone like you is totally not fit to be in the class committee. Tong Ziqing. Qiao Jin shouted in a low voice when he saw the two of them quarreling in public. He walked forward to take Tong Ziqing away. Tong Ziqing forcefully pushed Qiao Jin away as a trace of viciousness surfaced on her cold and beautiful face. Yiqing Luo, do you feel that you're very great? You are very proud of helping that trash and I Rupen advance, right? But, do you know that this kind of sympathy of yours is totally not needed in the devil class? Yiqing Luo scoffed softly as she glanced at Tong Ziqing with a smile that didn't look like a smile. This gaze caused the anger in Tong Ziqing's heart to rise to its peak. Don't always think of yourself as the savior of the world. Ni Rupen needs your help, but I don't. For someone like Ni Rupen, even if she graduates from the academy, she'll only be a burden to others and drag them down in the world of martial arts. Your kindness today will cause the death of others. The more Tong Ziqing said, the more ridiculous she felt Yiqing Luo was. Not only did he want to help Ni Ruopan, he also wanted to help Guiyu enter the devil class. Did Yiqing Luo really felt that she had this ability? Pooh! After Tong Ziqing roared, her chest heaved up and down as she panted heavily. Her secret of liking Long Yunzhan had already been exposed by Yiqing Luo in public, so she didn't intend to keep any face at all. Today, she would never agree to let Guiyu enter the devil class. Unexpectedly, after Tong Ziqing finished howling, Yiqing Luo laughed softly. Her eyes were filled with mockery and her pink lips curled into a smile filled with disdain. Foolish. Two clear words spilled out from Yiqing Luo's pink lips. Tong Ziqing's face turned ashen. As for Qiao Jin, who went up to stop them, he stared at Yiqing Luo in astonishment. As though she had not expected Yiqing Luo to ridicule Tong Ziqing without giving her any face. Actually, Qiao Jin and the rest also greatly approved of Tong Ziqing's words in their hearts. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed his students to bully Ni Rupen. To them, they were weak to begin with. If they didn't think about improving themselves, then they should be prepared to be abandoned. Because it wasn't that they didn't give the weak a chance, but Ni Rupen herself didn't need this chance. But after Yiqing Luo came to devil class, she stood up for Ni Rupen time and time again, even attempting to change Ni Rupen. Chapter 308. Number 1. Yiqing Luo raised one finger as her half-squinted eyes flashed a trace of ridicule. No matter if you are willing or not, Master Guiyu is the teacher that the academy had arranged to teach in the devil class. As a student, you can only listen obediently. She paused for a moment as her pink lips curled slightly. Of course, you can try to gather your classmates and use the same method to deal with those teachers in the devil class to deal with Master Guiyu. If you are able to successfully force Master Guiyu to retreat, I, Yiqing Luo, will be the first to submit to you. Tong Ziqing clenched her fists tightly as her expression turned sinister. Yiqing Luo's words were obviously intentional. Guiyu was the exception in this academy as his ability was unfathomable. Especially that day at the training ground, she saw Guiyu smashing the second courtyard door with one palm, which showed how bad his temper was. If she used the same old method to deal with Guiyu, she would probably lose her life. Don't dare. Yiqing Luo saw the anger in Tong Ziqing's eyes as she sneered, if you are afraid, don't have the courage, then be like a tortoise and hide your head. Yiqing Luo put up 2 fingers tightly. Number 2, I am willing to help an I Ruo Pan. That is my matter. Your ignorance has nothing to do with me. She lowered her hand, and her resolute gaze swept across everyone in the room. You think that the weak are dragging others down and deserve to be abandoned. But have you ever thought that no matter how weak the weak are, they are still your comrades? Tong Ziqing was stunned. Long Yunzhan's azure blue eyes started to fluctuate faintly. What is the reason why you want to become stronger? To stand at the peak of your life. To have a better reputation, to act cool and slap faces everywhere you go. Or to show off to others how strong you are. Tong Ziqing didn't answer as she bit her lower lip tightly, unable to respond to Yiqing Luo's question. Yiqing Luo's gaze fell onto Qiao Jin. However, those few avoided her gaze, unwilling to answer. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled slightly as she continued, I am doing this to survive in this world, to protect those people whom I care about. A person who can't even find a reason to become stronger, is there any meaning in becoming stronger brainlessly? Tong Ziqing hung her head in shame, her fingers clenching her sleeves tightly. Most importantly, when a person embarks on the path to becoming a powerhouse, they cannot do without a team and companions around them. Yiqing Luo's gaze was fiery as she looked straight at Long Yunzhan. Class monitor had trained devil classes students to such a strong state, but in their hearts, the only one they submit to is the class monitor and the class committee members. But if we're talking about unity, I'm sure you can feel it. These people can fight together over small matters, but when it comes to matters of life and death, they all stay away from each other. Without waiting for Long Yunzhan to speak, Yan Xiaoyi blinked her bright eyes and clapped her hands. Yes. You're absolutely right. You've only been in the devil class for half a month, how can you tell? The first day. Yiqing Luo replied indifferently. If the class was really united, Ni Rupin wouldn't have been bullied. These students, because they were once trash, had been injured by others. Other than herself, other than Long Yunzhan and the class committee members who had saved them from hell, they were unable to sincerely accept anyone else. However, a large part of the reason was also because Qiao Jin and the rest were people who were used to being alone. Chapter 309. Think about it, in this world, who can stir up a storm by himself? Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile. Even if it's the overlord, he has the imperial palace behind him, as his solid backing. Then, what about you? Yiqing Luo threw out another question. If anything happens to you, as your companions, devil classes students, will they risk their lives to help you? Qiao Jin and the rest remained silent. This question was hard to answer. Currently, devil class had never met with any especially dangerous incidents. From the looks of it, these students were extremely respectful towards them. But if it really came to a life and death juncture, would they sacrifice themselves to save them? Yes. We will. Tong Ziqing looked at Long Yunzhan in a daze. We will. We are devil classes students, we are each other's companions. If something happens to the class monitor, I will be the first to rush up. Heck, Yiqing Luo sneered, don't be too serious about double standards. Previously you said that I can't represent devil class's thoughts and accept teacher Guiyu, then on what basis do you represent devil class's students? To answer this question. Tong Ziqing was stuffed speechless. Yiqing Luo then returned to the study table and sat down again, looking straight at Long Yunzhan opposite her. A person, if he has a strong backing, has enough trust, and is able to leave his back to the other party's companion, he will definitely be able to stand at the top of the world. So, I will not give up on any companion who has hope. The pastor was like this, totally not like a human, but of flesh and blood, but a machine without a heart. What she lacked was a companion whom she could trust. If she had trained her own companion right from the start, then she wouldn't have been schemed against by that bunch of old men that day. Clap, clap, clap. A burst of crisp applause reverberated in the silent room. Long Yun Zhan laughed softly. Well said. Well said. He stood up and his blue luxurious robe followed his movement, as it was like an extremely shallow water wave, pouring down in torrents. It complemented that elegant face, as handsome as the flowing snow in the wind. That's right, the most important thing for a person is not his own battle ability, but the ability to display his strength together with his companions. Long Yun Zhan's eyes shone slightly. Have you heard of 3 evils? The few of them immediately nodded. When Yiqing Luo heard this name, her eyelids twitched. She remembered that on the day she entered the academy, she was almost assassinated by 3 people at the back door of the academy. It was also there that she met Mo Yuing. Mo Yuing told her that the 3 people who tried to assassinate her were the 3 evil spirits of Godless Island. She didn't really believe it. At this moment, hearing Long Yun Zhan mention it, for some reason, the faces of those 3 people subconsciously appeared in his mind. When the 3 of them combine, no one can gain the upper hand against them. It is said that the 3 of them even fought to a draw with the Overlord. Yan Xiaoyi told them all the information that she knew. The 3 evils are rumored to be triplets. Their telepathy is extremely strong, and all of their movements and moves are exactly the same. It's like looking into a mirror. Bai Ming Lulu propped up her chin and said with interest. Long Yun Zhan nodded slowly. The reason why they are strong is because they use the power of the team extremely well. If the 3 of them were separated, they would be easy to deal with, but if the 3 of them were together, they would be extremely difficult to deal with. Recalling the rumors of the 3 evil spirits, and linking it to Yiqing Luo's words. Chapter 310. Since no one has any objections, then tomorrow I will let Teacher Gue Yu participate in the actual combat training, so that Teacher Gue Yu can take a look at each student's aptitude and prescribe the right medicine. Yiqing Luo took the opportunity to raise her own opinion. Letting Gue Yu join in the actual combat training was the best opportunity for Gue Yu and the students to interact. She believed that no matter how irascible Gue Yu's temper was, in Devil class, he would definitely become the best teacher. Because a person's eyes would never lie. When Gue Yu came, his gaze towards these students was very sincere and clean. Especially. Gue Yu was obviously powerful, but for so many years, he was willing to stay in Heavenly Academy, becoming a crazy old man. It could be seen that he had feelings towards the academy. It wasn't that Gue Yu didn't want to teach the class. But there wasn't a suitable class, no class which was worth moving him. Gue Yu was Devil class's opportunity. In other words, Devil class was also Gue Yu's opportunity. Qiao Jin and the rest shifted their gazes towards Long Yun Zhan. They wanted to reject, but couldn't find any excuse to refute. What Yiqing Luo said was very reasonable. They had already been convinced by Yiqing Luo's words. No matter how powerful one person was, he would not be able to defeat a team. Only by being in sync and in harmony, to be able to leave their backs to each other's comrades and team, would they be able to stand at the top of the world. Take the simplest example. In this Devil class, the class committee members were each other's backing. That was why they were able to train this bunch of self-abased and cowardly students to today's standard. Qiao Jin squinted his eyes slightly, as he gazed at Yiqing Luo's gaze, with some profound meaning. But in the half a month's time in Devil class, Yiqing Luo had easily seen through the problems in Devil class. Her insight was really extraordinary. Even Tong Ziqing's expression, which was originally a mixture of green and red, had gradually changed. Tong Ziqing stared at Yiqing Luo, as her eyes no longer had the coldness and disdain from earlier. There was only unwillingness. She was unresigned to what Yiqing Luo said, as she had no words to refute. She was unresigned that Yiqing Luo could see through everything so thoroughly, and had successfully convinced the class committee, and even herself. She was unresigned that her pride had been turned into dregs by Yiqing Luo. But no matter how unwilling they were, they had no choice but to admit that Yiqing Luo indeed had the qualifications to become a class committee member. I have no objections. Tong Ziqing gritted her teeth and clenched her fists. Before she turned to leave, she turned her head back and stared at Long Yunjian in a daze. However, Long Yunjian sat there with a calm expression, as if he didn't notice her existence at all. Tong Ziqing pursed her red lips, closed the door, and strode away. Student Yi, don't be calculative with Ziqing. That lass's nature isn't bad, it's just that she's used to being arrogant, and now she can't lower her pride to acknowledge you. In her heart, she has long treated you as a student of the devil class. Qiao Jin saw the awkward atmosphere and laughed dryly to ease the atmosphere. Yiqing Luo shook her head as her lips curled, I know. She did not blame Tong Ziqing. In the devil class, Tong Ziqing had always been worshipped as goddess Tong, and she had always admired Long Yunjian. The minute Yiqing Luo appeared, she attracted Long Yunjian's attention and directly became a member of the class committee. The arrogant Tong Ziqing naturally felt that her face had been slapped resoundingly. As long as one was human, there would be jealousy in their hearts. This was human nature. Student Yi, do you have time? Chapter 311. Coincidentally, I also have something to tell you in private. Yiqing Luo smiled calmly. However, the two of them had a frank expression on their faces, as if they were discussing something with their companions. But in the eyes of Qiao Jin and the others, no matter how they looked at it, it felt ambiguous. Are these two going to spend time alone and express their feelings to each other? This thought caused the faces of Qiao Jin and the others to instantly become a riot of colors. Class monitor, are you sure? Sure. Yan Xiaoyi blinked her watery eyes, her face filled with disbelief. I feel that it's better for us to be present. We can also avoid awkwardness. Don't you guys agree? Qiao Jin coughed lightly and said with a chuckle. Baiming Lulu nodded in agreement. Get out. Long Yunjian's vision was fixed on Yiqing Luo, not shifting away at all. But that clear voice was still full of majesty. They looked at each other in dismay. After a moment of silence, they pushed each other and left. Qiao Jin had just closed the door when Long Yunjian said, Go back to where you should go. Outside the door came the sound of several heavy objects falling to the ground, mixed with Qiao Jin's muffled groans. Shortly after, the sound of their footsteps gradually faded into the distance. The room fell into silence. Yiqing Luo's eyes were calm as she exchanged glances with Long Yunjian. No one was the first to break this peace. Perhaps it had been quiet for a long time. Long Yunjian's elegant brows creased slightly as his azure blue eyes fell from Yiqing Luo's face to Yiqing Luo's arms. There's a strange smell on your body that's very attractive to me. His eyes narrowed slightly as he slowly stood up and placed both his hands on the 8-square table as his body bent down towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Yiqing Luo did not evade. Their eyes didn't move away from each other. The two of them got closer and closer. Yiqing Luo vaguely sensed a cool breeze coming from somewhere. It was wind's aura. Yiqing Luo stared at the approaching handsome face as she blinked her eyes. Could a Feng have misunderstood that there was something going on between her and Long Yunjian? She and Long Yunjian were innocent. The reason why she didn't avoid it was because she and Long Yunjian had the same goal in their hearts. But even if these words were explained to Wind, asking him not to spout nonsense in front of Dmo Xian, Wind probably wouldn't listen. He was about to push Long Yunjian away to prevent Ah Feng from thinking deeper. Long Yunjian had already stopped bending down. His head stopped right in front of Yiqing Luo as his nose sniffed lightly. Have we known each other before? I don't know him. Yiqing Luo answered without hesitation, flipped her palm and pulled out the restless Qi, but I think it should know you. Qi, whose fur was entirely white, shook its body as it nestled in Yiqing Luo's palm, widening its tiger eyes as it stared at Long Yunjian without blinking. What a familiar smell! Qi's nose twitched, and its little paws moved forward. His small body had already jumped onto Long Yunjian's shoulder, sticking out his tongue and licking his body lightly. When Long Yunjian saw Qi, he was completely stunned. His azure blue eyes were masked with a layer of hazy and unreal emotions. He allowed Qi to walk back and forth on his shoulder, allowing Qi's furry fur to brush past his face. Right, this is the smell. Long Yunjian's voice was extremely soft, you're a sacred beast, this is the smell of a sacred beast. Qi moaned softly, as though it was responding to Long Yunjian's words. Chapter 312. Awu, Qi nodded, and with a leap, landed on the square table. It sat up straight and raised its small tiger head. Its pitch-black eyes reflected Long Yunjian's figure. Awu! Long Yunjian's expression instantly turned grave when he heard this. His 5 fingers, which were placed on the table, clenched tightly. His usually calm blue eyes revealed a trace of biting cold. Yiqing Luo, who was standing by the side, was totally dumbstruck. Although she had signed a contract with Mu Qiqi, and they had reached the level of physical and mental compatibility, Mu Qiqi was not a match for Mu Qiqi. However, she still could not understand the beast language that Qiqi was speaking. But why could Long Yunjian understand? Moreover, he could communicate with Mu Qiqi smoothly. Could it be that he understood the language of beasts? Wait, that's not right. Long Yunjian had said that she had a very strange smell on her that attracted him. That scent must be Qi's scent. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes, as she gazed at Long Yunjian, who was staring at Qi without blinking, with a sincere attitude. A bold conjecture suddenly popped up in his mind. After forming a contract with Qiqi, she was tainted with the aura of a saint beast. That was why Long Yunjian was attracted to her. Just like back then, when that high-level mirage beast saw Shiju's mother, it didn't dare to act rashly because of the sacred beast aura on her. In other words, Long Yunjian, outside the door, there was a sudden sound of footsteps, followed by Qiao Jin's voice, "Class monitor, classmate Yi, someone from the faculty council is here." Faculty council. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly. It was probably because of the fight between her and Lu Shuiyu in the dormitory. His movements were quite fast. Yiqing Luo got up and left Qi behind as she followed Qiao Jin towards the outer boundary of Devil class. You and class monitor. Qiao Jin's gaze wandered around Yiqing Luo's face as his face was filled with curiosity. You think too much. Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes as she interrupted Qiao Jin's wild imagination. If you have the heart to gossip, why don't you think about tomorrow's actual combat training on how to let the students obtain the greatest improvement in actual combat training? Saying that, Yiqing Luo added another sentence. At this time, we can also take the opportunity to train the students' enthusiasm towards group battles. Qiao Jin nodded his head. He also had this thought. Yiqing Luo's idea of team and companions was exactly what the Devil class lacked. It was indeed time for them to take action, using the method of nurturing team battles, to let the students of Devil class understand what a team was, and what comrades were. Previously, when you entered the training forest, it was based on your individual ability and performance. This time, you can choose to split into groups and choose the 3 most outstanding groups to be rewarded. Xiao Jin noted down all these suggestions. Alright, I'll go with Lulu and the others to visit teacher Guiyu later. We'll discuss the training rules for tomorrow. As the 2 of them spoke, they arrived at the desolate outer courtyard. The 2 of them stepped on the withered branches on the ground, making a crisp, creaking sound. Hearing the noise, a member of the faculty council who was standing not far from the devil class with a face full of disgust looked over. The faculty council has been looking for you every other day. What kind of excuse did you come up with this time? Xiao Jin saw the look in the eyes of the 2 faculty council members and the corner of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. A private brawl. Xiao Jin slowly gave a thumbs up. You're awesome. The academy had a clear regulation that students were absolutely not allowed to brawl privately. In order to prevent this kind of situation from happening, the academy had specially spent a huge sum of money to install profound chi sensing objects around the academy. In order to enter the Heavenly Academy, the students had given it their all. If they were chased out of the academy, their entire lives would be completely ruined. Chapter 313. I probably won't be able to take part in tomorrow's actual combat training. Yiqing Luo halted her footsteps. Help me arrange an I Ruo Pan and Tong Ziqing in the same team, and help me tell them that this is my request. These 2. Xiao Jin didn't understand the reason why Yiqing Luo made such an arrangement. Ni Ruo Pan and Tong Ziqing were obviously at loggerheads with each other. Moreover, because of Yiqing Luo's reason, they probably hated each other even more. If these 2 were to be arranged in the same team, based on Tong Ziqing's usual performance, she would be able to obtain a good result in the actual combat training. But Ni Ruo Pan's aptitude. That was hard to say. By then, if Tong Ziqing didn't obtain the final victory, she would definitely blame Ni Ruo Pan for dragging her down. The conflict between these 2 would intensify. It was very likely to strike Ni Ruo Pan's self-esteem, which she had painstakingly built up. Don't belittle Ni Ruo Pan. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. Those who don't give up on themselves are the strongest. If she gives up on herself this time, then we don't need to waste time on her in future. Saying that, Yiqing Luo had already started walking out of the devil class's courtyard. At the entrance, there were 2 faculty council members, with an impatient look on their faces. They felt that even getting half a step closer to the devil class would lower their status. Yiqing Luo happened to know one of the faculty council members. Wasn't that the beauty who held her into the faculty council together with Lu Shuiyu without any explanation, the one who was addressed as Lu 4th Miss by the other faculty council members? At that time when Lu Shuiyu discovered Wind who was hiding in the dark, she ordered this Lu 4th Miss to lure Wind away. After that, she didn't know who won between her and Wind. But to be able to exchange moves with Wind, and successfully restrain him. From this, it could be seen that this Lu 4th Miss ability wasn't weak. Looks like the academy made the right choice in arranging you into the waste class. It's only been half a month and you've already blended into a ball with that bunch of waste. Lu 4th Miss, Lu Shuiyu's half-sister Lu Shuilan, sneered in disdain. The lady beside her immediately echoed, it can be seen that student Yi is destined to be a waste. Birds of a feather flock together, so waste naturally attracts waste. Lu Shuilan's line of sight shifted to the devil class, to Xiao Jin who was standing on a withered yellow branch, as she covered her mouth and laughed softly. Then could it be that she found a lover in the trash class? TSK. Trash and trash, a perfect match. Lu Shuilan's heart was filled with ridicule and disdain. Looking at Xiao Jin's unprepossessing face, he looked like a good-for-nothing, someone who would not be able to accomplish great things. Seeing Yiqing Luo being brought away by them, he actually stood there watching with his eyes wide open. Trash was trash. She really didn't know why her elder sister had suffered losses in front of this useless woman time and time again. Do the people from the faculty council like to talk glibly? Yiqing Luo's brows rose slightly as she glanced at them with a smile which didn't look like a smile. If you call me trash again, be careful that I'll slap you to death with one slap. Another female classmate was stunned by Yiqing Luo's gaze, but the minute she thought that this was her chance to perform well, as long as she performed well, to make Lu Shuelan think highly of her, then she would be able to get a higher position. The female student immediately stood in front of Lu Shuelan. Don't you dare. With a "pa" sound, Yiqing Luo directly threw a slap over. I even dare to hit your vice president, do you think I dare or not? Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a cold smile, as she rubbed her slightly burning palm. Waste? You can't even beat me, what should you be called? To stop a woman like Lu Shuelan, there was only one way to settle things once and for all. Chapter 314. Lu Shuelan's mocking smile froze on her face, she clenched her sleeves tightly and spat fiercely. So what if you're powerful, you're still a waste-class student. After that, Lu Shuelan bit her lower lip and gave that female student another slap. Waste. Useless thing. Although Yiqing Luo's slap didn't land on her face, it was no different from slapping her face. The female student felt wronged and suffered 2 consecutive slaps, but she didn't dare to make a sound. She could only cover her face resentfully and followed behind Lu Shuelan. Yiqing Luo sneered and picked her ears. Finally, it was quiet. The simple and crude method was the most effective. The private fight, as it involved the faculty council's vice president, was handed over to the elder quarters to handle. She followed Lu Shuelan and the female student all the way to the elder quarters. Along the way, they met quite a number of students who greeted Lu Shuelan respectfully and looked at Yiqing Luo strangely. One by one, they were pointing and gossiping about Yiqing Luo, who had been quiet for half a month. What did she do that made the faculty council come looking for her? At this moment, standing on the tall building, a young man dressed in a black long robe squinted his cold eyes slightly, staring at the calm Yiqing Luo below. Master, it's Miss Yi. A man dressed as an attendant bowed and said respectfully. Those 2 bottles of medicine, have you sent them over? The young man's indifferent eyes did not move away from Yiqing Luo. The moment he opened his mouth, his voice was as cold as a frost. The attendant nodded. Yes, I personally passed it to her. Why didn't she take it? The young man's expressionless face frowned slightly. That pair of cold and indifferent eyes was suffused with a trace of anger. The attendant stiffened and lowered his head. I don't know, perhaps. Miss Ye's vigilance is strong. Before knowing who you are, she didn't dare to take the medicine. Don't know. The young man's eyes were as calm as still water, eerily cold, strong anger rolling in his eyes. Don't know, I'd like to see if she knows who I am. The attendant was forced to take a few steps back by that strong aura. This was the first time he saw his usually calm master revealing such an expression. Because of that girl named Yiqing Luo. The gaze the follower gave Yiqing Luo was filled with a deeper meaning. Find out why the faculty council took her away. The young man retracted his gaze and hid the anger in his eyes, returning to his original expressionless face. Elders Department. Yiqing Luo was brought to the main hall and Lu Shueyu was already seated on a soft chair by the side, drinking tea and discussing something with Elder Yunxiang. On seeing Yiqing Luo's arrival, the smiles on their faces froze as they stopped their conversation. How was this someone who had broken the rules of the academy and had to be punished with a demerit? It was like drinking tea and talking about life. Student Yi, sit. Elder Yunxiang stroked his white beard, his eyes curved into crescents as he smiled. Yiqing Luo walked straight to Lu Shueyu's side and sat down as an attendant immediately served hot tea. Student Yi, I'm sure you're aware of the academy's rules. During the academy period, students are not allowed to fight in private. Elder Yunxiang's face was amiable as he spoke earnestly. The academy sensed that you had a fluctuation of profound qi in the dormitory earlier. Do you have anything to say to me? In a few words, he pushed all the blame onto Yiqing Luo. Chapter 315. Yiqing Luo leaned lazily on the soft chair as she squinted her eyes at Lu Shuiyu. The corner of her mouth curled up into a faintly discernible cold arc as she chuckled. Just one look and Lu Shuiyu felt a chill down her spine. The hand which was holding the teacup trembled and almost spilled the tea. The smile on Yiqing Luo's lips was cold, but it didn't lose its charm. It revealed an eerie cold glint which made one shudder. Lu Shuiyu only felt that her neck seemed to be entangled by a cold poisonous snake and her tensed-up heart was almost suffocating. Such a strong aura was so majestic that Lu Shuiyu couldn't suppress it at all. This treacherous atmosphere was in a deadlock. Elder Yunxiang's words, "Don't tell me that I was bored alone in the dormitory and released my profound qi to hit myself." Yiqing Luo's soft and leisurely voice rang out. Her vision seemed to have inadvertently swept past the curtains of the inner hall, and when she touched something, a sly smile flashed past her eyes. Elder Yunxiang's words were blocked. His face under his white beard darkened a little. He stood up and placed his hands behind his back as he walked slowly to Yiqing Luo. There was still a smile on his face, and he had a kind and benevolent look on his face. However, the threatening look in his eyes was extremely strong. "Student Yi is a smart person. This is only a small matter. If Student Yi cooperates with the Elder Quarters investigation, I will naturally give you a lighter sentence. Violating the Academy's rules is just a small matter in Elder Yunxiang's eyes." Yiqing Luo pretended to be astonished as she widened her eyes and couldn't help but raise her voice. "A few days ago, Vice President kept saying that if one violates the Academy's rules, one should leave the Academy. Although this was the Elder Quarters and everyone was the Elder's man. But Yiqing Luo's shout would inevitably be heard by others. If this was spread out, the Elder Quarters' reputation would be tainted." Lu Shuiyu listened by the side as anger surfaced faintly on her cold face. Then she heard Yiqing Luo mention that the last time she found trouble with her, she insisted on violating the Academy's rules, and it was actually used by Yiqing Luo to slap her face. Her heart was filled with anger and annoyance, and when she thought of Yiqing Jian who had instigated her previously, she hated her even more. "Since I'm here at the Elders' quarters today, there are some things that I should talk to the Elders about." Yiqing Luo stood up abruptly, her petite figure but her aura wasn't small at all. This stance made Elder Yunxiang, who was originally standing in front of Yiqing Luo to threaten her, take a few steps back. He saw Yiqing Luo raising her head up high as she spoke in a serious manner. "Vice President, as a member of the faculty council, knowingly broke the law and even laid hands on her dormitory roommate. If it wasn't for the fact that I took the risk of being recorded as a demerit and blocked for my roommate, I'm afraid today the Academy would not only have broken the Academy's rules, but a life would have been lost." "You're talking nonsense." Lu Shuiyu couldn't take it anymore. She slammed the table and stood up. "I'm spouting nonsense. Isn't it all about evidence? Material evidence is something that can sense your xian qi. It can sense the fluctuation of your xian qi. As for the witness, it's that roommate who was almost seriously injured by you." Yiqing Luo shrugged her shoulders and said word by word, "I used my profound qi, I admit it. But it wasn't a private brawl." She paused for a moment and her leisurely voice had a hint of a smile. "If I had a brawl, I'm afraid Vice President wouldn't be able to sit here anymore." Provocation. This was simply a naked provocation. Lu Shuiyu's face was burning hot as the anger in her chest surged to her head, feeling that her lungs were about to explode. Chapter 316. Yiqing Luo smiled lightly. "Why? do you want to make a move in front of Elder Yunxiang? Just as she finished her words, Lu Shuiyu's raised hand was locked by Elder Yunxiang. Vice President. Elder Yunxiang used a little strength and pressed Lu Shuiyu back to the chair. Students should get along peacefully. At this moment, if Elder Yunxiang wanted to help Lu Shuiyu to clear her name, it would be impossible. Yiqing Luo had this idea. From the previous allocation of classes, Yiqing Luo could tell that Elder Yunxiang should be standing on the faculty council's side. She was allocated to the devil class and it was definitely related to Elder Yunxiang. This time, Elder Yunxiang still wanted to use this to threaten her to take on this matter alone. If it was other students, they might have succumbed under the prestige of the elder and faculty council. But Yiqing Luo was not others. She didn't put Lu Shuiyu in her eyes at all. Yiqing Luo had deduced that the most serious consequence of this matter was to record a demerit. But to Lu Shuiyu, it wasn't just a demerit issue. Tomorrow's Heavenly Training Forest actual combat training was the time for her to showcase her skills as the faculty council's vice president. If the faculty council could get the top 3, it would definitely raise the faculty council's prestige. Once Lu Shuiyu was recorded, she would not be able to participate in the actual combat training tomorrow. She would also lose the chance to bring glory to Simu Yan. If it was serious, it might even cause Simu Yan's disgust and be demoted. Such a good opportunity, how could Yiqing Luo give it up? Trying to clear Lu Shuiyu's name. Yiqing Luo deliberately provoked Lu Shuiyu to lose control in front of Elder Yunxiang and unleashed her profound qi in an attempt to make a move on her. Even if Lu Shuiyu's palm strike was stopped by Elder Yunxiang, it was absolutely impossible to draw a clear line between them. Student Yi. After Elder Yunxiang appeased Lu Shuiyu, he turned his head and looked at Yiqing Luo. Between his brows, there was a layer of faint hostility. You'd better think carefully. If the announcement is made, it will be a demerit and your status in the academy will be ruined. Yiqing Luo heard the threat in Elder Yunxiang's words but she didn't take it to heart. When the elder arranged me into the devil class, didn't he already decide to destroy me? Yiqing Luo sneered lightly as she raised her eyes in ridicule, looking straight at Elder Yunxiang's threatening gaze. Elder Yunxiang's face darkened and he squinted his sinister eyes. I do not have the right to assign classes. If Student Yi has any questions about the assignment, you can look for the dean. Moreover, the assignment of classes and this matter are two different things. Yiqing Luo covered her mouth as she laughed softly. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw that the figure was still there behind the curtain of the inner hole. The smile in his eyes deepened. Elder Yunxiang is too biased. Elder Yunxiang snorted coldly. All in all, it's my duty as a student. I've already told you everything that needs to be said. If Elder Yunxiang insists on making me the scapegoat, I advise you to give up on this idea. Yiqing Luo finished her words and stood up, preparing to leave. Elder Yunxiang shouted angrily, "Who allowed you to leave? A student who has violated the academy's regulations and still wants to go against your superiors, do you really think the elder quarters exists in name only?" Four attendants scurried into the hall and blocked Yiqing Luo. "Let her leave." Suddenly, a dignified voice was heard from the inner hall. The inner hall's curtain was lifted by a hand and an elderly man dressed in the elder's attire was seen strolling in. Chapter 317. When Elder Yunxiang saw the old man, he was terrified. He lowered his head and cupped his fists. "Great Elder! Great Elder!" Yiqing Luo had seen in the booklet that there were a total of 15 elders in the elder quarters. However, there were only 7 who held power in the academy. Elder Yunxiang was ranked second. Great Elder Yunduan was not here, so Yunxiang was the leader. As for the other elders, they either went to the other super monasteries to help out or to travel around to promote the academy. As for this first elder, he was one of the more mysterious ones among the elders. Yiqing Luo initially sensed that there was someone behind the curtain, but she didn't expect that it would be Elder Yun Duan behind the curtain. At this point, I have already investigated clearly. Student Yi did not do anything wrong. Elder Yun Duan's line of sight shifted from Yiqing Luo to Lu Shuaiyu. Everything that happened just now, I saw it clearly from behind the curtains. Lu Shuaiyu's complexion turned pale as she knelt in front of Elder Yun Duan. She had been in the academy for 5 years, so she knew Yun Duan's identity. Even if it was Yun Xiang, in front of the great elder, he had to show some respect. If Elder Yun Duan had been behind the curtains all along, then, earlier when she was infuriated and tried to hit Yiqing Luo but was stopped by Yun Xiang, he had seen everything clearly. To the extent that Elder Yun Xiang's threat towards Yiqing Luo was heard clearly. The more she thought about it, the more Lu Shuaiyu broke out in cold sweat. In the academy, she had always been at the top, surrounded by the stars. Other than her own methods and abilities, it was also because of her identity as the vice president and Yun Xiang's support. But, she didn't understand Elder Yun Duan, and from the looks of it, Yun Duan was standing on Yiqing Luo's side. As the vice president of the faculty council, you knowingly broke the law and even colluded with the elder council in an attempt to cover up your mistakes and push the blame onto innocent students. You are a disgrace to the academy. Elder Yun Duan coldly snorted, his gaze full of dignity. From now on, student Lu Shuaiyu will temporarily stop all of her duties as vice president, and student Lu Shuelan will take over. Student Lu Shuaiyu will be given a major demerit, and the entire academy will announce this as a warning to others. When Lu Shuaiyu received the news that she would be suspended from her position as vice president, she froze on the ground with her eyes wide open. She was usually cold and aloof, but now she looked battered and exhausted. To Lu Shuaiyu, recording a demerit or reporting it to the police was not important. Most importantly, she was suspended from her duties. She did not have the right to step into the faculty council, which meant that she could not see Si Yen Mu. Great Elder. Great Elder, I know I'm wrong. I'm willing to record demerits, no matter how many demerits I have, as long as you don't suspend me from my duties. Even if I'm not the vice president, I can still be a small member of the faculty council. Yun Duan's face was cold as he glanced at Lu Shuaiyu on the ground. He didn't have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. Men, take Lu Shuaiyu away and make an announcement to the entire academy. Before Lu Shuaiyu could resist, several attendants had already dragged Lu Shuaiyu out of the elder quarters. Then, Yun Duan glanced at Yun Xiang coldly. Yun Xiang's body stiffened. He lowered his head and did not dare to make a sound. He had covered up for Lu Shuaiyu and threatened a student. Even if he was caught red-handed by the first elder, there was nothing he could say. However, while Yun Xiang was on tenterhooks, Yun Duan did not continue to announce his punishment, but looked towards Yiqing Luo. Student Yi, this matter is due to the negligence of the elder quarters, and almost caused Student Yi to be wronged. I represent the elder quarters to apologize to Student Yi. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes flashed a glimmer of light, her pink lips slightly hooked up. With such a fair and strict elder like the first elder, I can rest assured. Chapter 319. Yiqing Luo smiled and reached out to rub Lu Xiaoyu's head. Don't put your mind on her for the time being. Train and learn well. Tomorrow is the actual combat training for the high profound class. It should be your intermediate profound class's turn in another half a month. Strive to achieve a good result by then. The two of them chatted for a while and Yiqing Luo returned to her room, ready to have a good rest and conserve her energy. Yun Duan only punished Lu Shuaiyu and she got out unscathed. She would be able to participate in the actual combat training tomorrow. Stretching her waist as she walked into the room, the sandalwood scent made Yiqing Luo's body stiffen. She immediately closed the door. The uniform that she had changed out of was washed clean once again and hung on the wooden rack. And on her bed lay a tall man in purple. Sleeping Beauty. These 3 words popped out in Yiqing Luo's mind as her eyes overflowed with a sweet smile. Dmo Xian's eyes were closed as if he was in deep sleep. He didn't even notice Yiqing Luo's approach. In his deep sleep, his thick eyelashes cast a beautiful arc under his eyelids, making that peerless face look extremely gentle, making one couldn't help but want to get close to him. In fact, Yiqing Luo really followed her heart's desire and did so. She quietly lay on the side of the bed, staring at Dmo Xian's sleeping face, stretched out her slender fingers and drew his outline in the air. A man with an outstanding appearance, no matter when, would always have a different kind of charm. Just like the current Dmo Xian, who was obviously in deep sleep. But there was a charm that made her heart beat faster and wanted to get close to him. Was he too tired? After washing her clothes, he fell asleep on the bed. Yiqing Luo's fingers gently touched his face. Her gaze swept across the wrinkles between his brows, across his tall nose, and finally stopped on his pale lips. As if she was bewitched, Yiqing Luo's body slowly leaned forward and pressed her lips on Dmo Xian's lips. The man's elegant sandalwood scent drowned her in an instant. Little Luo actually sneak attacked. A low laugh overflowed from the lips of the two. Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to hurriedly get up, Dmo Xian's long arm had already wrapped around her waist, and with a little force, Yiqing Luo fell into his arms. I didn't expect you to be this kind of little Luo. Dmo Xian's long and narrow peach blossom eyes narrowed into a demonic arc as he flipped over and pinned Yiqing Luo beneath him. His hair scattered softly on Yiqing Luo's face. The feeling of being caught red-handed after doing something bad made Yiqing Luo's cheeks flush red. She struggled to avoid Dmo Xian's hand, unwilling to look at his face. Her flat abdomen was attached to a wide and thick palm. Dmo Xian's body was even more attached to Yiqing Luo. You dare to do it, but don't dare to admit it. Dmo Xian caught hold of her hand that was pushing him away, as his scorching breath blew onto her ear. You did it on purpose. How could there be such a coincidence? She had just stolen a kiss and Dmo Xian woke up. Dmo Xian laughed lowly, and that laughter was extremely bewitching. Like a feather, tickling Yiqing Luo's heart bit by bit. All right. I did steal a kiss from you, I dare to admit it. Yiqing Luo couldn't take it anymore as she pulled the man's hand. Now can you let go of me? This man simply couldn't be any more tempting. That peerless face was exactly the type that she liked. The extremely bewitching voice whispered beside her ear, and her mind was already in turmoil, unable to control herself. If this carried on, sooner or later she would be eaten up by Dmo Xian's handsome man trap. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.